very, very pleased to see it's been well looked after again. So the next engine is my engine. This was due to Engine Hall Estate in 1887, and in 1921 it went into the John Allen Pressing Street.
Can't do any more, man. Don't get any more curve on it.
It was used by them all the way until 1940. When they had a sale, it was on a couple of times before my father was able to buy it back. The engine that is selling in 1887. It has a special history. My father bought it from Lady Bridge in 1887, in 1972, and then we sold it on to a friend, and it has been partially restored but not totally restored. So we're very, very pleased to see it here, and it's a very, very important part of the Banbury area and Oxfordshire. The next engine is a Marshall traction engine, which was also part of the Allen fleet. I believe it was used for them. I don't remember off the top of my head. Again, it's sold in 1940. And the next engine is the Fowler. And this to the same Urban District Council and then got absorbed into the Oxfordshire County Council in their organisation. It went to the scrapyard and in Surrey, and I saw it there in a very smashed up condition. Okay, so I am for the update with the no bonnets on the outskirts of Banbury. I'm find a commentator. I'm going to pass back to him, and I shall go into partial retirement. So in conversation with Dan just said that 52 engines this year. It's a big undertaking to bring these any engine out to a rally, and so we're really grateful that we've had such a large amount of support from the engine owners. But we now have over 50 engines on site, like 50 full-size engines. That's the highest number we've had in the history of Bloxham going back to the 1960s. To the area, the people, the owners here. Some of them are local, some of them come from sites with quite some distance. You'll find they come on loaders, or we can just see here, coming in. Jordan's come up, 5 rows yesterday, about 40 miles up. So, you know, a good run on an engine of that size. Now, what was about the Abbott engine. The thing that's really special about King George VI is that it was bought by John's father in 1950. It went to its first steam rally in 1952 and was the first showman's engine ever shown at a steam rally. That's incredible. There's quite a few over here. Absolutely. And, you know, when that 73 years ago, and here it is still at rallies. And still looking incredible. Yeah, and if you go to the fair this evening, you'll see George will be in the fair parent of the buffet rides doing exactly what it was designed to do back in the day. That's amazing, that's amazing. So when we spoke to a couple of the owners in there, see. He said how much work goes into looking after them. An engine like this, what kind of, is it as much as you like, or does it need a set amount of time you need to put in to look after one?
I think the thing about a full-size engine, and it's very similar with a miniature, it's not entirely dissimilar, but when you've got a full-size engine, things a bit more in the way of life than just an amount of maintenance you have to put into the vehicle. These are things that need to be cared for, they need to be continuously maintained. If you use them to the extent of Tommy Anderson, things will inevitably break. And unfortunately, you can't just go down to Quick Fit and get a replacement part. These are people that will manufacture their own.
Okay, do you keep your eyes out, everybody? Like that, so it's saying it should be here any moment. You get as you walk around all the sections, especially the big team. I was walking along and everyone's having their chat, whether they know each other or not. Obviously, all into the same hobby. They all love their engines. They're on show, isn't it? I mean, you do see some from time to time, maybe various celebrations and things. But yeah, this is like their Christmas almost.
Yeah, I mean, we have there's a calendar here for speed rally, starting from April in May, runs right the way through until end of September, October. And after that, then we tend to have a few gatherings
So as we can see, the full-size team now are starting to line up. Myself and Dan will walk along in a moment. Once they have done their loop, we'll have a little chat about the various steam engines you see in front of you. So Dan, I'm not sure if you touched on this earlier, obviously we can see the cars behind this one, obviously would have carried various things. What kind of weight is one of these for?
Well, I probably love to train like this, you've got 60 tons.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. And we've got to recognise the time that these were a thing. High amount of work that can be done, right? So technically, an acre is a furlong. So we can think about furlongs in terms of horse racing. So furlong word actually comes from furrow, a long furrow, a furlong. So an acre is a furlong by its shape. And we still have an acre now. And if you're going to see a cricket team, then the distance between the stumps is a land which can be ploughed by one man with a team of 8 holes.
Very nice.
Incredible knowledge, that's incredible.
All making their way in here, these cast drive spots. I think what we'll do in a moment, we'll start talking about maybe a few further up the way.
you'll find they'll carry a trailer behind. So on each engine, you will have a coal bunker at the back of the engine, and that will have a water tank on it, and it will have an additional supply of coal. So for both of you as well, we'll call you in a minute. Is there any other children? Lots of young children in the front of the... That's you, madam. I'll talk to you. I'll be polite, but that's all right. That's okay. Excellent. There are more children, yeah, over there as well. So there's a particular position in the crane. What we've got here is all of them coming in. It's an agricultural engine, it's a single-cylinder engine, and what you'll find is that at a particular position in the crane, it has equal space between both sides of the cylinder. So that's quite a common thing then. Absolutely, yes. Yes, that's the sort of thing that any engine driver will deal with dozens of times. Right, there's obviously lots of people that will be very concerned that there's a problem with the engine, and that's quite a common thing. Yeah, absolutely nothing to be worried about. So we are just over the time on all these they're an exploration, if you like, of the lorries on our road. They were very much dedicated to road use. They were very, very dedicated to running on the road with big transport lorries. So we have the Lancaster bomber fly over. So do keep your eyes peeled for that, and your cameras at the ready. So, 25 now, so 7 before that actually happens. Talk about where something is come from. The engineer has actually come over from Ireland. Wow. So a good trip over there makes a trip over in the summer. They do a number of steam rallies. Well, a lot of the time they'll come on low loaders on the ferries like everything else. Yeah. You'll be a dedicated person who rode one all the way over. Of course, yeah, that's quite a commitment in this good day. Absolutely, yeah. And then building on this unit, I mean, it looks like a big with these components. It's quite how it is. So, I mean, the engine tends to be relatively easy. Running with the steering wheel, then that thing needs to be very, very heavy. The steering wheel goes down to a through which gets the sharp and the slight Here about ploughing and some of the revolutions that tractor engines brought to the agriculture industry. And coming into the arena now, we've actually got an incredibly interesting engine. This is a fouler that was built in Leeds, but it was sort of medical luggage engine. So they were generally well bigger, they had bigger firewalls, bigger doors, they were generally sent overseas. This particular engine was now, Mozambique. It sent out to Mozambique, where it worked on a sugar cane estate. But this was one of the only huge graceful ploughing engines where you can have two engines at the end of a field and they drag a plough backwards and forwards. So underneath the big ploughing engines you'll see a wedge. You could move a plough backwards and forwards wedge. Right.
Okay, so the youngsters at the top there now, that's the top one down. Right, so that's still there. That's it, stay back, come in a bit, come in a bit. There we go, again there, that's the range mode.
That turns the dynamo, and that would generate the electricity that would power the electric fairground ride.
Incredible.
On a lot of engines, you'll see a second dynamo which is behind, which is powered from on a belt on the other side of that. That second dynamo is called the exciter, and when that was particularly useful when you were starting the ride. You use a lot more electricity when starting the ride. The exciter will be there just to add that extra oomph to get the ride moving.
I love the fact that you see captain on the edge. There's definitely trying to avoid it. There's always one out, I'll go for a speed bar. Right there. Go. Okay, I'm assuming the slower you go in, the harder it is but the sediment must be like hot lines for you.
Yeah, no, it's interesting thing is when you actually watch the engine, on a standard engine, you would turn the wheel much as you would when driving a car. On the flowing engine, you'll see that actually turning the wheel in the reverse direction.